running back play overall, and how you guys have adjusted, obviously, with a kind of an unproven backfield coming into the season?
Great question. I think it's been good. We obviously from spring ball through fall camp to now been just trying to get better as a group, day after day and week after week. And I think for us, it's the growth of Mekhi, the growth of Brandon, getting a chance to get Elijah going a little bit as well, as best we can. But the big thing I think about these guys, my group, where they're at, was just them understanding how to practice over the duration. Because a year ago, with those guys being the younger guys, you had K-Ron, you had Nate, and just the understanding of how long practice goes. And they've done a great job of attacking that, being detailed and staying focused. And, really with Brandon and Mekhi, you can see how their game has progressed with that.
Particularly with Mekhi, the vision he has and the way he's able to cut around and find space. Is that something that he had when you got him, or is that something that you guys developed and have sort of seen growth from him?
So when Mekhi was in high school, he was really the starting linebacker at his high school. And then kind of transitioned, they would sprinkle him in with the other running back. And when he got carries, he was one of those guys that was always consistent because he was able to, look at leverage and really stay tight to the blocks and not go down easily. So he had some of that natural ability, but I think since he's been here, I've watched him develop a lot more as a runner when you talk about his footwork, playing with a low base, and being able to just trust his transitions when it's time to stay within the run schemes.
As far as Mekhi, how healthy, close to 100% was he last week? Because, when you get a guy that has a boot on at the end of one game, you never know, but it didn't look great.
At this position, running backs, we are midseason healthy, so that's how healthy he is, right?
Yeah.
He's 4 games healthy, so he's good.
Nebraska's a team that just statistically hasn't stopped the run great. Do you see some opportunities this week to get that rolling, and how could that, bleed into the rest of the offense if you guys are able to run it at a high level?
Yeah, I think for us, offensively, we pride ourselves on being able to run the ball. I think for my group, I think I'm more focused on these guys doing a great job of, sticking to their aiming points, trusting the reads, not second guessing themselves. I think so many times, especially with young backs, when they have some success, a kid like Mekhi, they're always looking for this big home run hit, this big home run, and I want our room to be known as consistent runners. That's the thing that's important to me. So, I know what you're saying about Nebraska, but it's more on us as far as us working on our details and the things that we preach in our room. I think from a protection standpoint, we got to continue to grow in that area in our room. So.
Out of USC, we saw Bryson warming up with your guys. Was that just a depth thing because of the numbers out there, or is that something a little more? He's taking a little more running back stuff?
That kid's just a good player, and, as this thing goes, you're just trying to see where you can get your best players and figure out where you can put them at. We'll see how this thing goes as we move forward throughout the season. But he has, he's kind of moving around, yeah.
With the bye week, we obviously talked to Jonathan yesterday about it, but how would you evaluate what you guys were able to do looking back at, first 4 games and then obviously applying that to moving ahead?
As an offensive running backs, I'm sorry.
As running backs, as
yeah.
Offense, as personal life?
No, personal life. Yeah, I got a chance to hang out with my wife and kids a little bit more. But, no, I think, as a group, the one thing I keep hitting on, I was noticing in our run sometimes we were looking for those big home run hits, and I was able to put together a cut up from practice through the games that we had played up to this point and showing we're too fast, right? This is how it needs to look, and really getting a chance to slow it down and take some time and go through some of our base schemes to help those guys see what it needs to look like. And I think, coming out of today's practice, we started with that in our meeting, and it showed up a little bit when we did 9-on-7 and those things. I think we took a step there. I think we need to continue, like I said, build on our pass pro technique, our eyes in pass pro. So we got a chance to watch some of the stuff that has hurt us from a protection standpoint, where our eyes are those in the right spot. So those have been the things that I've focused on in my room. And I think as an offense, just continuing to grow. This thing is about growth. That's the one thing. You don't want to be the same team from week 1 to week 5 at this point. So we want to make sure we're taking four games of growth going into this game.
With the pass pro side of things, is there a sense that because, especially with a guy like Brandon who showed some struggles early on, the teams maybe are trying to exploit that they've seen that, and now it's like an issue that was there is just further exploiting these teams?
It's interesting because there's times out there he's actually helping somebody else, and it's not really his guy. And it seems like Brandon's getting beat all the time, but that's football. I just think some of it is young, not having great eyes, and being locked in. I use the word locked in. I'm using air quotes with that, but not just trusting your technique, trusting your eyes, and going with what the O-lines call. You're trying to predetermine instead of going off the look. That's been some of our struggles. And it's really getting these guys, just like you would in the run game, you want to trust this aiming point until something shows up different. You need to trust the look, trust the call that the O-line is giving you, so you guys are all on the same page, and that's what you go with. You can't think, well, what if the safety, that's not what's happening. This guy's blitzing right now, that's your guy, you need to go block him. So just getting them more in tune to that.
Last year,
With Mackay,
Go ahead.
one of the things I think that I've seen is he's got a pretty good sense of cutting back in traffic. I mean, how much of that is vision and how much of that is just kind of still developing? Like,
Yeah, we kind of just was hitting on that, but some of it is vision, and it's a feel thing, and you don't want to coach somebody into vision because what you usually do is coach them out of being a good player. But there are times when, for him, he's cutting it back way too dramatically, and we're trying to get these big home run hits, and we need to be efficient runners. And that doesn't hurt you when it works, but when it's 2nd and 6 and you cut it back and now we lose yards and you could have had a 4-yard gain and put us in a 3rd and short situation, that's what we need to kind of continue to make sure we're paying attention to. And I always try to use the phrase with these guys, every O-line coach, every coordinator likes a consistent runner. Guys that don't lose yards, they're always going to fall forward for that hard 3 to 4. And as you continue to build those, that's when your big hits usually come.
In the third quarter, you guys at USC, you started to find more with the run. Did you find there was an adjustment in the splits type?
No, it wasn't the splits. I think those guys, in my opinion, our O-line kind of got a little bit more sticky. And really, we did a better job of really setting the pace of our track and not just flying or just cutting back as soon as we got the ball, so we could truly get flow from the guys up front, and that's where you're seeing some of those lanes happen.
last year, after the first bye week, you guys hosted Iowa and looked like a different team. Dominant first half against Michigan the following week. I guess, looking back, what was those adjustments like, and do you expect something similar this time around?
Last year's team was a different team. I will say this, just going back to what we kind of talked about, I think each group individually on both sides of the ball, from a special team standpoint, we wanted to make sure we got a chance to hone back in on our fundamentals and details. We wanted to make sure, we're changing things, thinking about what has hurt us in the past and how can we get better at that. If it works out, we end up with a dominant win, perfect. If it works out, we win by 1, I'm good with that too. It's just about this team getting better through the course of the season, and that hopefully is what we do going into Saturday.
I'm sorry if you were asked this earlier, but tell us, what would you like to see next from his development?
Oh, great question. I think, Brandon, as a running back, he's such a big guy. Sometimes he can run high at times. I think he has to get more in tune of, he's not the flashy scat back. And, it's one cut, get behind your pads, and we'll take the 3 yards. That's probably the next step for him in the run game. I think from a pass protection standpoint, with his size and some of the stuff that he's done through the course of the season has been because of not just being detailed enough and staying disciplined in what we need from him protection-wise. So him taking the next step there, which he's usually pretty good. And I think, just overall, just consistent in his play. That's catching the ball, that's blocking, obviously, and that's in the run game. But I think that goes with, what I was talking about earlier, just the duration over the course of practice, staying locked in and being able to do that.
How's Jace coming along? How's Jace coming along, and do you think he could still help you at some point this year?
Yeah, he's coming along great. I mean, I think the big thing with him, he's a great athlete. He's fast. He's good quickness. Probably one of more of your scat type back that you see out there. Just as a young guy, you think I'm faster, I'm the most athletic, but he's continuing to grow into a football player when you talk about our offense and the scheme and the protection and understanding those things. But he's making some great strides.
we had asked Jonathan about the red shirt thing. I was going to ask you about Chase, but with him, especially with the ability to play 4 games, is that a situation where he was dinged up? Do you want to maybe have some fresh legs maybe for later in the season, or is it something where he can still play himself into a rotation?
It seems like it's been a long season, but it's so early in the season, I couldn't really answer that and give you, this is exactly what we're thinking. I think it could go either way, and I know that's kind of escaping an easy question, but that's the best answer I have for you.
Special teams wise, I can't remember which units you handle.
I've been doing punt return, kickoff return, and then our field goal team.
So going into the season, didn't have much clarity at kicker, and Martin's kind of Blake early on. I guess
Yeah.
just special teams overall, you pleased with what you've seen from that group? You had a big punt return by Omari.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think the special teams part of it is just kind of that all-in attitude, just from the team in general. I think we have some really good guys that are, sometimes they're 2s and 3s in different positions on the offensive side of the ball or defensive side of the ball, and those guys are buying into their roles on special teams, and it's been exciting as a team and as a special teams coach with Joe Begnall and Chad as far as getting these guys ready each week, because I think they are locked into what we want to do. For us, I think we have to always think about our special teams, that third phase, having an impact on the game. And, going into this week, that's one of the things we want to preach is if you do your job, you can have an impact. You don't do your job, it can be a problem. But I think these guys are bought in to making sure we do what we need them to do from a special team standpoint from all 4 phases, and obviously our field goal and our field goal block team as well.
How has Alante's injury affected kick return for you guys? And is that something that's going to just evolve throughout the season now?
Kick return is so interesting because you got to wait for the right pitch too. You know what I'm saying? I would say this: Alante is a good kick returner. Not having him out there, you're like, well, are we going to get a chance? You never know. Now, I would love to have him out there, so I guess that's how it's affected it. But I think we'll be okay. We have some good players on this team. I think, within the depths of it, we should be okay.
When you have a punter like Anthony that put it anywhere, any distance, it feels like there's so much challenges. Like, does that help you, I guess, train your return unit, punt return unit particularly? Of like, this is what you might see. This is a different look than if you didn't have that.
Yeah, I think the one thing you're getting is bombs, and that ball's hanging up in the air, and he's truly trying to flip the field. So guys have to really work through their technique. As on my horse, am I able to run the banana course to catch it? So you are getting some good looks as far as the coverage portion of it and how to track the flight of the ball. So he helps you in that way.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you. All right, you guys have a